There are 12 built-in shell commands. Today I'll be looking at each command and demonstrating their functionality. The first command is help, and that is where you can get access to a list of commands and a simple explanation for what each can do. There are 5 commands dedicated to manipulating the file system. ls for list directory, cd for change directory, mkdir for created directory, cp for copying a file, rm for deleting a file. Entering ls with no arguments will give us a listing of the current directory. We are in the root folder, and we can see subfolders named dev, boot, temp, and data. We can also enter arguments on the ls command line. For example, boot bin, and get a directory listing of that folder as well. Instead of entering longer and longer paths on the command line like we just did with ls, we can change directory into the boot bin folder, and that will shorten every command we have thereafter that manipulates that folder. So we can do a cd and then boot bin, and now we have changed directories into the boot bin folder, and that has updated and become our current working directory. So now if we enter ls, we will no longer get a listing of the root folder. With its subfolders, we get a listing of the current working folder and the list of applications that it contains. We can also create our own directories using the mkdir command. Now I'm going to change directories into the data folder, do a listing, and now I'm going to use mkdir to make my very own folder. So I'm going to call that Drew. Now I'm going to do a listing again, and the data folder contains a new folder I've just created called Drew, and we can change directories into that folder as well. Now that I have created a new folder, I want to fill it with some kind of content. The easiest way to do that is to copy an existing file from one location into my directory. I can do this using the cp command, which is short for copy. And on the command line, I have to specify the path to the original file and the new name and location for the file, where I want it to go. So what I'm going to do is go into boot, apps, and I'm going to copy the hello fuchsia Dart script. And the second parameter is the location for it. Well, because I have changed directory and the current working directory is this new Drew folder, I don't have to specify a path. But what I can do is specify a much simpler name for this file, just x.dart. And now if I do a directory listing, I have an x.dart file. Awesome. Now that we have created a file, we want to display the text on screen, and we can do this with the list command. It will display a text file with line numbers. So let's go list x.dart. And we are showing a very simple Dart script that will print out hello fuchsia on the command line. And I would like to thank Seb Mitchell for letting me know this, not only about listing text files, but also running Dart scripts. And I can go ahead and do this now. If you type in Dart, and then the path, it should run this script. Hello Fuchsia, and that's it. Now that we have used the file and no longer have a need for it, we can remove it by using the rm command. Rm x.dart, and it has been destroyed. If we do a directory listing, we have nothing, and we can go back up one directory, do another listing, and so Drew has nothing in it. So we can change back into Drew, and the file is gone. Okay, now we've used the list command in order to look at a text file. But what if we want to examine the contents of a binary file? We can use the dump command to display a file in hexadecimal. So what I'll do is change directories into boot, bin, do a listing, and let's say I want to look at calc in terms of hexadecimal. I'll do dump calc, and we are giving a hexadecimal listing. And the most interesting aspect of this is the information on the right hand side, and that is the type of file. Here we have some text strings, resources. We're given a little bit of information about some of the commands that were used and what dependencies it has. This is useful for possibly hacking a little bit, trying to figure out what an application does, as well as maybe testing to see if you're actually producing a binary the way that you think you are. The next two commands are not very useful on the command line itself, but when we get into making shell scripts, they will become much more useful, and their utility will become much more obvious. The first command is echo, and the only thing it does is it prints out whatever you type on the command line behind it. So hello world, and it will print that out. We do not have access to any kind of shell variable such as path or any such thing as that. And if you look at the source code in the builtin.c folder, you see that the only thing that the echo command does is iterate over the parameter you pass in, and it prints out each character one after the other exactly like you type it in. I will link to the builtin C file. It will be the first link in the description below. The next command that we have, again, not very useful on the command line itself, but in a shell script, it will turn out to be very useful actually. And this is msleep, and it will pause the shell for a number of milliseconds, and we can type in msleep, and let's say 1000. So what this is going to do is pause the shell for 1000 milliseconds, which is equal to 1 second. And so we slept there for 1 second. We can do that again. Let's do it for 3000, and it just sits there and does nothing. The last command is really a sanity check, especially if you're going to be a developer for Fuchsia. It is called runtests, and it runs all the test applications in the boot tests folder. So if we type in run tests, and this doesn't take a long time right now. I think there's 46 tests, and it takes just maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Ran 49 tests and one failed. Mojo public C++ bindings return non-zero. So if I were writing code at the moment and it did pertain to Mojo, I would now be questioning whether the platform was mature enough to actually do what I wanted it to do. That's all we have time for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If I've done a good job, please click the thumbs up button. And as always, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.